Hello, everybody. Ian, Starship Adventures, and today I want to talk about last weekend's Winter Field Day. For ham radio, this is one of the larger events of the year. There's one in the summer that's run by one group, and one in the winter that's run by a totally different group of people. But basically, Winter Field Day is a time when you can come out and you can set up out in the elements with portable equipment, and you can test the ability that you have in order to operate under extreme conditions. And of course, Winter Field Day for folks up north, there was some extreme conditions. We've had an unusually cold first half of the winter. And remember, that usually generally means that we're going to have a warmer than normal second half. So I think we saw a very frigid late October, November, December. And I think now that we're into January, we're at the end of January, everything's changed. And I think February, March are going to be warmer than normal, very temperate. And I think a lot of folks are waiting for that. But Winter Field Day this year, still pretty cold outside, not near as cold as a few days earlier. Had Field Day just been 3 or 4 days earlier, we would have been dealing with near freezing temperatures just right here in Fort Myers in South Florida. So I can only imagine how cold it was in places like Delaware and Connecticut and North Dakota. I heard a lot of contacts being made even in the northern states, and sometimes with Winter Field Day, that's, like I said, it's a lot more difficult up there. Joseph and I went out to the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club. We had both previously been members of that club and had left over the years because there was no open elections, and there was no way to move up in the club unless it was you were one of the good old boys, and lots of speech stifling and things like that. So we had kind of gave up on that group years ago, and I went out there and I met the new president, Carmine, and I have to admit, I have a whole new feeling about this club. We were welcomed out there, all new group of people, new officers. A lot of things have changed. They've removed Aries from the group and made it its own thing, which is probably a good thing. There's a lot of changes that have been made. The people who were involved in a lot of the things that ran many people off are gone now. They've either moved on, moved away, or moved upstairs, whichever happened to be the case. And the good news about that is, hey, here we are. We have a new club with a lot of members and a lot of resources and funding. And now it looks like it's back under the control of the people again. So that's really good to hear. Carmine, I had a long talk with him. Great guy. Also the previous president to him was also another great guy. I've been talking to him on the radio quite a bit. And I think that the big change we've seen in the club is that the older regime has passed away and passed along and moved along, some to other things, and some have went silent key. And so now the club is now being run by people who are a lot more reasonable. So I was very happy to hear this. And I'm going to be, in the future, I'm going to be possibly doing stuff with that club again. We're going to see. I'm very skeptical about clubs. I've seen a lot of crazy things. But when you talk to someone like the president they have now, and you talk to him about all the things you had issues with in the past, and he's like, we're fixing that. We're changing the entire way that we do elections. We know there's a problem and we're fixing it. And so that's amazing to me. Also, a lot of the old faces there, the old grumpy faces weren't there. And there was a lot of people operating. So that was cool. There was a few younger folks there operating as well, and I love to see that. Winter Field Day and Summer Field Day need to be completely harnessed, if at all possible, to get as many youth involved as we can in the hobby, okay, and in radio sport itself, and to introduce them to all of these kind of things. And so I saw a lot of that going on out there, and I was very happy to see that. let's see what else they had a bunch of stations. I don't know what their operating number was, but they probably had 6 or 7 transmitters operating out there. I met my friend Rick out there. We met a couple of new friends out there, folks I'd been communicating on the radio with but did not know personally. And I've made a few new friends now that I'm communicating with on the daily, so that's pretty cool. Lots of folks out there, and it went very, very well. I got to tell you, it's refreshing to see a bunch of ham radio folks out doing something in ham radio. For so long, it had been stagnant in this area, and I'm very encouraged. I would like to have seen the media involved. For some reason, the clubs around here don't want the media involved in stuff, and that's a shame because I work in media and I would love to get the media involved in these sort of things. I think it's important to use the media to reach out to the community, because that is the window to the community, is the media. All right, the next thing is I wanted to mention, after we left Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club over at the Fort Myers Recreation Center, we left and drove all the way down almost to Homestead. We drove all the way down the East Trail, East 41, across through the Everglades, past all the airboat tour places, and we get all the way down to Chrome, 997. We take a right, we go all the way down almost to Homestead, down there where all the groweries are that grow all of the greenery that you see in the entrances and all of the fronts of all the houses and all these new beautiful communities and multifamily communities that they're building down here. And so it's kind of cool. We drove down through that area, and Joseph and I pulled in down there. What a great bunch of guys. It's called Castellow Hammock Preserve and Nature Center down there, and that's where their group had set up for their field day. And we got a unique honor while we're down there. Joseph got to interview Robert and Sergio and Alan. They are the original 3 people that started and maintained the repeater that was such a big thing down in Miami and all along the East Coast. And it was the 444-325 repeater. And it was also known as the W4THM and later the Kilo India 4 Zulu Whiskey Victor repeater. And that was out of Miami, Florida, but it was on top of this big building, UHF. And they were able to reach all up and down the East Coast, and even over here in the West Coast, we were able to get them with a beam. And this was an amazing repeater system that was out there and was operating for years, and due to issues, it was taken down. And I was kind of wondering, why would such a powerhouse, such a blowtorch, be taken down? Well, we found out in the interview, and I'm going to link that interview here in the comments, because I think it's important to get the word out about what happened with that repeater. These guys give a great hour-long, in-depth, deep dive interview into what happened over on the Scuffed Radio channel, and I'll leave a link for that in here. The 325 repeater was a phenomenon down in Miami, and it was neat to hear these guys recount how it started and, of course, how it ended and how it went all through many years of operation down there. It's a very fun repeater, a free speech repeater, if you will. And it was really neat to have something like that. And, of course, now it's gone like everything else. We spoke to them a lot down there about the things we were doing with the Freedom Network and things like that, and we were hoping that when we were down there, we would meet a bunch of new people that wanted to do stuff we're doing, and of course we did. And what a great bunch of folks down there. A lot of them already knew Joseph, so it was kind of like meeting old friends. And we went down there and hung out for a while. They were operating on a lot of different bands. They had wires and all kinds of different verticals and things up out there in the woods. And it was a lot of fun. And that was way down south near Homestead in Miami. So 2 different teams welcoming us over the time that we were out there, and they were just really welcoming to us. And so I just wanted to make a short video about Winter Field Day, show you guys a few of the photographs that I took, and just basically talk a little bit about this great operating event for ham radio. And if you missed it, Summer Field Day is just 6 months away. That's the really cool part about that. All right, so my name's Ian. This is Starship Adventure, and like I said, Field Day, man. It was fun this year. Got to go see 2 different groups in operation, and they were doing great out there. This is Starship Adventures from Starship Studios in Southwest Florida. We'll see you down the log on the next adventure, or maybe at field day. We'll see you next time. 7 3s.